Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report, your daily source for Black news, views, and opinions. Happy Thursday. It's September 29th, and I'm Mimi Brown.
And I'm Romeo.
I'm Demi Lobo, and on today's report, what role did Ginni Thomas have in the overturning of the 2020 election? Well, that's what the January 6th committee intended to find out after a 4-hour-long meeting that took place earlier today. Meanwhile, a black man says excessive force was used against him by cops in Colorado. Was race a motivating factor in the abuse that he received? Well, soulmates, we have that story. Then, protests began after a school resource officer is seen on camera pulling a student by the hair. How will the officer's past affect the outcome of the incident? We have the story.
Plus, Black creators listen up. The founder and CEO of the app Fanbase has a way to get you paid with your online content. And we mourn the loss of West Coast rapper Coolio. We have all that and so much more. This is our voice and our truth. So let's get it.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. We start today with news on Ginni Thompson, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thompson. She testified for several hours today behind closed doors for the House Select Committee. The closed-door session was also confirmed by several sources familiar with the committee's work. Chairman Ginni Thompson said Thomas answered some questions in her interview with the panel and reiterated her belief that the 2020 presidential election was stolen. Now, Thompson would not divulge what the committee talked about or what they asked about, including whether she addressed her text messages with then President Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows. So this meeting finally took place. We've been talking about it for a while here on the Black Report. She was in there for about 4 hours, as I stated, so that's a very long time. It seems like they got a lot of questions in. We're still not sure what was asked, what was answered, but we do know that she did say she believed the 2020 presidential election was stolen, and she would not answer to reporters outside. They asked her had she discussed any of this with her husband, who we know is the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. She would not answer if the two of them discussed any of the presidential election stuff. If they the Stop the Steal rally, any of that, she would not answer that. Instead, she said something like, "Thank you for being here." So there still remains a lot to be answered if we'll get the answers to what was asked and answered inside that meeting today.
You know, we are not, like you said, Mimi, aware of what happened in the meeting. After the meeting, when press was outside, she also refused to answer any questions to the press outside. I thought it was interesting that Ginni Thompson, he said at this point, we're just happy that she came. And it's like, no, we don't need to be at this point. We're just happy that she decided to pull up and give us a statement. I want to know what happened. I want to know, what did you uncover? When we first started talking about the January 6th committee coming together, I was like, wow, we all were like, wow, this is so great. We're going to finally get down to the bottom of what happened. And it just, I don't know. I feel like the public should be let known a little bit more about what happened in that meeting. Not like we're just happy that she came. Like, she was also happy, excited to pull up to the meeting. So I'm wondering, what was she excited about? Excited to not give out any details? Like, it just, I don't know how I feel right now.
Well, I feel like she's smart and she's savvy. So, you know, she's not like Herschel Walker walking. They'd be like, oh my God, he's going to say something's going to like just expose all of us. I feel like she came in there ready to play the game. Yeah. And I think they may have got some things, but not a lot. Like, people wondering about, what about the text messages she may have had going back and forth with the former president? How important would that be if there are proof that she was going back and forth? What were they really talking about? So we're still waiting to get those particular answers. But I think the way she kind of left it there with a little smirk on her face and thanking CNN, like, thank you for being here. Like, you know, like she was enjoying and embracing the stage for a minute.
Yeah, and I think it's BS to say that she and her husband don't talk at all. Every couple does pillow talk, so I think that is a crock of crap to say that you and him don't have any conversation.
Yeah, I don't know if she answered it, though, but we know that they do. I just don't know if she answered it. They asked, but did she answer is the question.
It's a cliffhanger. There's more to come.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, did she answer it, and was she truthful in her answer? Public trust of the U.S. Supreme Court is at a record low. That's according to a Gallup poll that was published today. 47% of adults surveyed earlier this month say they trust the court. That's 6% lower lower than the previous record low of 53% reported back in 2015. Job approval for the Supreme Court also dropped in the new poll, tying the previous record low of 40%. After the overturning of the Roe versus Wade, the court's job approval stood at 43% in July.
Religious leaders in Florida are demanding a local commissioner address allegations after a picture surfaces of him wearing a Ku Klux Klan robe at a Halloween party. Now, Jeffrey Moore is a Florida official. He was appointed by Governor Ron DeSantis. He resigned from his job at the Department of Revenue after the photo began circulating. The photo was reportedly taken years ago. Moore is the only white person on a board that includes 4 black commissioners in a county that is 55% black. Gadsden County is located in the Panhandle portion of Florida and is the only majority black county in the state. So you think about this. He's the only one. You know, he's the white sheep of the family, right? But then you have to rely on him for certain things or to make sure things get done, and this is how he portrays himself. This is what he thinks is funny, what he thinks is cute. Like, I don't know what goes through someone's mind to even think that something like that is okay, living within our country where racism is still at an all-time high.
You know, I don't think that he, Romeo, that he thinks it was okay. He shortly resigned after this photo became public, so I do believe that the scrutiny or the backlash that he got from this, that the block was a little hot for him, and he said, you know what, either this wasn't all right or I'm upset that it came out. But let's not for a second take Ron DeSantis off the chopping block, because Ron DeSantis appointed this man, and Ron DeSantis is such a dangerous individual for so many reasons. And I'm wondering, did Ron DeSantis know about this photo before it became, you know, public knowledge? Because Ron DeSantis, I wouldn't be surprised if something similar, you know, just popped up in his past as well, because he's a dangerous individual as well.
You know, it's very interesting that someone would think it's okay at any time to dress up for Halloween as a Ku Klux Klan member. I mean, that just sends terror in the hearts of millions of people. So someone thinking that that is funny or a costume, where did you get the costume, or was it already in your closet? I mean, this begs the question for just so many different things. But you're right, you know, him being the, what do we say, the only white person in a district that is a majority black, it poses a problem, because we can already tell from this photo, before you even came in, if the photo was taken years ago, that you came in with these preconceived notions about black people and about how you're going to govern or be fair or unfair or anything else on this panel. So I'm glad that it came to light. I don't know who leaked it, but clearly it is having the intended effect from that leak.
Them skeletons in your closet will come out, and it's one thing he wearing that to a party. Imagine someone come knocking up to your door like that, talking about trick or treat.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Do that.
So. Very, very, very sad. All right, well, millions of people in Florida have lost power, and some are trapped in flooded buildings due to Tropical Storm Ian. The storm hit the state yesterday as a Category 4 hurricane and is now making its way to Georgia and South Carolina. The massive storm knocked out power for 2.5 million Floridians, while others remain stuck in flooded homes. Now, so far, no deaths from Ian have been reported in Florida, although 2 people were killed in Cuba.
A bank in New Jersey just announced a $13.2 million settlement with the Justice Department over allegations it deliberately avoided selling mortgages to black and brown customers. The practice is a form of racial discrimination known as redlining. The consent order with Lakeland Bank is the 3rd largest in the department's history in a bank redlining case. Now, the bank, its actions withheld mortgages and other loans from black and Hispanic areas of Newark as well as parts of New Jersey. Lakeland has promised to establish a new presence and provide financial services in areas that are part of the settlement.
Gunmaker Smith & Wesson is facing a lawsuit in connection with the 4th of July parade shooting in the Chicago suburb of Highland Park. Plaintiffs argue the company advertised specifically to vulnerable young men. A 22-year-old has been charged in the attack, and the gun he allegedly used was manufactured by Smith & Wesson. The plaintiff's legal strategy mirrors that of a lawsuit filed by victims in 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting.
And a black man is filing a lawsuit against a Colorado Sheriff's Department, accusing them of using excessive force. Travis Cole says he was restrained in a chair when a white Boulder County officer tased him. Cole says race was the motivating factor in abusing him. Now, Cole says in September of 2020, the arrest left him traumatized and distrustful of law enforcement. The sergeant involved has since resigned from the sheriff's office. Wow.
I mean, I have no words for that video. No words. A school resource officer in Tennessee Soulmates is accused of assaulting a student last week, and they are facing backlash, as they should. Deputy Tyler McCrae was involved in a brutal arrest of 18-year-old Taurus Sledge. McCrae was called to a gym class after Sledge told his teacher he wasn't feeling well and could not take part in class. Now, in the video, McCrae can be seen pulling Sledge's hair and his backpack in an attempt to arrest that student. McCrae can also be seen pepper spraying the teen. Sledge was charged with disorderly conduct and assaulting, as well as resisting arrest. After the incident, the high school led a peaceful protest on the football field demanding justice. Now, the officer involved has a history of accusations and lawsuits against him. And this is why I don't understand why police officers, peace officers, whatever kind of officers, sheriffs are allowed after one incident. And this goes back to Mimi. You saying black people, black women needed to be listened on to. People need to believe us,
Without
the
the
very
video.
first time, right? So the video came out. Yes, we are able to see it, but this particular officer has a history of this same type of behavior. So one person, two people have already said that this is what is going on to me. Why is that not enough to either get him out of the school? He needs to just be gone. Like, he doesn't need to be there anymore. What if this went further than it did right here? Luckily, the student is okay. But what if the next time another black student is not so lucky?
But let's talk about how this young man simply did not want to play kickball.
Yeah.
That's it. He didn't want to play kickball. He would rather play basketball. That's it. That's what this is all about. There are other things that you should do to discipline someone if that's what it calls for versus calling in a police officer. What about detention? What happened to calling a parent? What happened to, just sitting out or getting a bad grade for the day? Why are we jumping to calling a police officer in to attack a child? Why was that literally the first and only step taken in this situation?
Definitely a sad situation, and you think about this, we talk about background checks and things of that nature. You have to be very thorough when it comes to this, when it comes to protecting your kids at school. It's a gym class, so if it was all about kickball, why were basketballs even available? You could have had those put away. That would alleviate the problem from jump. Here's a young man that was still being active in class. He didn't skip class. He wasn't running around doing crazy things, interrupting the classroom. He simply wanted to play another sport, and as a result, he has to get dragged by his hair. So mentally, what does that do to him going back to school? He's embarrassed, right? He's angry. His trust level has gone down when it comes to teachers and officers on that level. So a lot to this situation. We'll see what happens on the end. But the fact that this police officer had a pass and still was allowed in, who did he know? That's my question. Maybe he knew someone to get the job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just looking at that video. It is so unfortunate that
way too much for that.
Right, and I know that his father came. I saw a video off to the side where he called his dad, and his dad showed up as soon as he could because he was also pepper sprayed. And so there's this video of his dad actually in the bathroom. That's him on the phone with his father. The dad shows up. They go in the bathroom together and they wash their face off. He helps him wash his face off from the pepper spray. I mean, it's like, and then the officer, when he's down on the ground and he's like not moving, the officer's like, there's more where that came from. I mean, right there, he's like, there's more where that came from. That's what he's saying. I mean, it is just sad. I just have no words for the fact that this continues to happen to our children in school. We're not even talking about out on the street. This is in school where you think your children are safe.
In class where he was supposed to be.
In class where he was supposed to be.
And thank God that whoever was able to get the videos, like even the video, it looks like the phone fell on the ground.
Yeah,
and
that's what the officer was wearing. But
okay, great. But I mean, even just the footage, just being able to see exactly. Right. Thank you for that, Romy. I wasn't sure whose footage that was, but being able to see exactly what happened here, man, I would even be afraid. I wouldn't even want to go back to school, honestly, after this.
But I'll say this real quick. Even as an officer knows that he has his body cam on, he still wants to act that way?
Because he's gotten away with it so many times.
Absolutely.
We said that he is under suspicion or there's been so many complaints before. And when you don't get caught, what happens? You get bolder and bolder.
That's true.
So that's what we're seeing.
Well, so much the judges denying Bill Cosby's request for a new trial in the case of Judy Huth. Cosby requested the trial after being found liable for sexually assaulting Huth in June. The court rejected Cosby's argument that the trial had been unfair and that Huth had not proven her case. A spokesperson for the Cosby said he will appeal, and a jury found Cosby liable in June for assaulting Huth and ordered him to pay $500,000 in damages for psychological harm. Huth testified that Cosby brought her and a friend to the Playboy Mansion in 1975 and assaulted her when she was only 16 years old.